Carolyn Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. Our time together this week runs about 15 minutes, give or take. And I would say expect Season 6 to be a little more SEO-ish. Technical, listicle, mystical SEO. You ready? Welcome to Season 6, Episode 6 of Confessions. In addition to updating you on last week's test to see if I could make a page that Google had known off and on for 2 years and revert it from crawled, not indexed, into indexed. Now, this week has been no slouch for podcast ideas. I kind of hit a mother load of them, and I had to sit quietly to see which one kind of like pulls me. And the one I came up with, it pulled me up and over the fence. I can't wait to share. One of the themes of this week on the internet in SEO was the overwhelming response on an article by Lily Ray, in which she presents data about sites that were losing visibility in the general search results, and she believes it's correlated with the articles on those particular sites which have a particular pattern, the listicle. I can't wait to get into it. You know, as a tester, I want to preface what I'm about to talk about. Today, I respect Lily's work, and as I move into it, just know it's a friendly stress test of one conclusion, not a takedown. And here's where I am. Are self-promotion listicles uniquely being targeted, or are we seeing a broader pattern of things like update timing, site content mix, causing this decline, and it just happens to include those listicles? I'm not trying to prove that Google loves listicles, but rather that listicles alone appear to be insufficient explanation for the decline in the Systrix data on those domains. So you see, we're going to have some fun. Previously on Confessions, I shared with you last week that a page was definitely struggling on one of my test sites, and I put it down to the lack of structure within the content. There was only one H1 and then just all text. Now, given the threshold to indexation that I discovered last year in the indexation test, I thought, what about, like this page? This is a great test page because it's not new content coming into the results, but more answering the question, can a page be rehabilitated? Could this discovery help bridge the gap between your content that people say isn't good enough to something more reliably actionable that doesn't depend on high-level SEO knowledge, but basic good semantics, H2s, H3s, and use those to communicate to the crawling system that this page is worth a ticket on the indexation train. Now, I have a test write-up on this, and honestly, I am strapped for time. And it turns out how I wanted to set this up, it doesn't kind of match to what Substack does. I like Substack because it's so easy to just get going without really understanding how. But I'm going to put it on seotesting.beehive.com. Now, if you want to wait for me to flesh that platform out, it'll be available on there. But if you're curious and you want to read the details of the story now, like dates, numbers of words, headers, right away, you can email me, carolyn@confessionsofanseo.com, and I'll send you a PDF. So this page was submitted through Search Console at 3:33 p.m. on February 1st, and by 3:35 p.m., it was marked as index. It worked. Google crawled it. As of now, it continues to remain indexed and being served. Now remember, in Google, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Content can be indexed by a sudden flood of visitors. You don't always have to go through the rough route, right? And highly optimized content with tons of backlinks is going to have additional help. But if that's not you and you have trouble with various pages, take a look and see if this technique might be suitable to help you. Adding headers is not a hack. It's a basic foundation of SEO, and now it appears with information retrieval for LLMs. That's artificial intelligence by their actual word. Okay, now getting back to the meat of the week. Lily Ray's article on Substack. The title of it is Google Finally Cracking Down on Self-Serving Listicles. First, if you don't know what type of article format that is, the format has a title like Top 10 blank in 2026. And then there's a list of 10 recommendations for that blank, whatever it is. And the people who are writing these articles are putting themselves in the number one spot. Okay, now the combination of a list to create an article, I introduce you to the Listicle. Now, Lily doesn't say that these sites are going against Google guidelines, but rather operating in a gray area. This area is defined as, quote, a space where sites may not be explicitly violating Google's policy, but still lack strong quality signals or rely on risky tactics, leaving them vulnerable to volatility as Google core systems evolve. Now, on top of this, there's been a lot of advice, and I mean tons of advice about how to use listicles to get cited in LLM or AI summaries, either within a search engine or by searching an LLM itself. And more to the point, quote, highly effective at driving visibility in both organic search results and AI answers. You can see catnip to SEOs. So, what's the beef about these articles? And in the article, Lily notes 3 things. Are they original? No. Are the titles misleading? Maybe. Is the content presented in a way that makes you trust it? Well, it is the internet, so likely not. Now, last year, Lily did say that she believes this particular type of articles, these listicles, were going to be targeted by Google in 2026. So since these articles are considered unoriginal, misleading, self-serving, and they already had a target on their backs from our industry, and you throw in a little SERP result volatility, and then you isolate to those pages in the data, and there you have it. Nothing more to see. Move along and don't write these articles anymore, or do so at your own risk. But here's my question. Are listicles the driver of some of these sites' decline in visibility? The analysis conjoins the decline of some sites with the high level of SERP volatility to conclude that Google is targeting them, which is why those sites, I would say targeting those articles, which is why the sites where those articles live were declining in visibility. Now, I guess one of my questions is, exactly how was Google's algorithm measuring originality, sensationalism, using the word best in the title, and trust? I mean, if the algorithm is so capable of determining these aspects, then I guess my second question is, why does, or did, if you search the query, how many rocks should I consume each day? It responds with an actual amount of rocks to eat every day. So you see where I find this data fascinating, but the only part where I can't make the full connection with is the conclusion. And Lily herself noted, and I'll quote, "It's also important to note that I found examples of a few sites that saw heavy performance declines in their blog, but were not overutilizing self-promotional listicles in their content. But because they declined, it was signs that, quote, they were using other tactics that could prevent performance, often tied to review articles and other articles leveraging highly similar programmatic page templates," unquote. Okay, there's a teensy tiny part of my tester brain that gets a little testy with that one. If you're familiar with the Salem witch trials back in like the 1600s, if they were accused of witches, if they had a test. If they floated them, they were witches and they had to be executed. And if they sunk, they were innocent but effectively executed. There's just no logic in there. And again, I'm not trying to prove that Google loves listicles. And I definitely agree that something happened. As a forensic SEO, I was able to find all the sites that were part of this write-up, and it may come as no surprise to find out that I'm going to be testing those same domains and running the same exam. I'm not going to change any of the rules. It's going to be the same patients, but coming up with maybe a different doctor's report. And I'll be publishing it as, again, maybe an addendum to Lily's work. I think it's a great approach for the most part, and I think this is a friendly stress test to see if there is an alternate explanation for this decline. Now, if I can't find one, I'm going to say so. And if I can, I'm going to bring the receipts. So watch this space. Now, I need to share something really cool about Vizzex, and this is the WordPress plugin and HubSpot app that is designed to provide you with a roadmap that connects your expertise and what you're trying to say, the semantic meaning of your blog content, so that it can be understood by both search and AI. Now, I have a test site that's really a nothing burger. It's got over 200 posts on it, everything in one category. And that's a confession I guess I need to make that, I really, until now, haven't really seen a point to actually using categories. But I thought this would be a great site to run Vizzex on and to work it through its paces. Now, once installed, or if you're installing it, you'll run a baseline analysis, but that's what I did, and it will separate existing content into what's called content islands and identify the hub page and your spoke pages and show you how well or how not well they are connected. And I'll keep you posted if Vizzex makes something of this dinky test site. I'm thinking if it can help this one just a teeny bit, imagine what it can do with yours with everything that you have. Well, this week I've got tons of non-research responsibilities. So I'm going to do what I can on that same patient, same test project. So I'm hoping maybe I'll have something I can publish in about 3 or 4 weeks. Well, that's it for me this week. Do yourself a favor and get into the Vizzex beta for the world's first helpful content analysis tool. When you get in, you'll receive a 30-day free trial. This week's AMA is going to be exclusive to those in the beta, and that's going to be February 12th. That's this Thursday. Those that are in will receive an email with the Zoom link. And please check out Indexilla, which is now the exclusive provider of the crawl or no crawl indexation reports for my research, like what I shared. And Indexilla is my indexer tool. You can find it at indexzilla.io, because now more than ever, getting your content indexed into Google and Bing is essential for AI. Please don't leave it to chance. Thank you for listening, and until next week, I'll see you in the SERPs.